Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. Okay, how many of you are here because it's your first time, looking for first-time home buying opportunities? A few. Okay. First, I'll talk a little bit about the subprime issue. I'll talk a little bit about first-time home buying, and then I'll talk a lot more about what's available to try to help you if you find yourselves in some of the difficult challenges that the subprime and mortgage crisis has put a lot of New Jersey homeowners in. First, you need to know that you're not alone if you're experiencing a little bit of trouble with making your mortgage payment. There are over 100,000 New Jerseyans right now looking at delinquency, and there are over 35,000 facing foreclosure. That's why we come out and do these forums. And that's why the group back here supports the Department of Banking and supports you, as well as the mayor and Susan, and everything that we can do to try to help you to get the resources at your fingertips so that you can take the right steps going forward. First step is when you get a notice in the mail that you're behind in your payments, don't throw it away. Don't put it on the shelf. Open it up, read it, call your mortgage lender, call your servicer, explain your situation to them. Doing nothing is worse than anything else. You have to do something for yourself. Pick up the telephone, make that phone call. Don't be embarrassed, because the mortgage industry put a lot of people at jeopardy with some of the products that they sold. If it was interest only, if it was an ARM product, if it was a product that had a little bit of deceptive practices in it, you need to let me know. Because if there's anything deceptive out there in products, we can actually go and get you a refund, and we can penalize the industry. During 2007, the Department of Banking fined the industry over $1 million and refunded back to consumers over $2.5 million. So if there's any predatory practices or anything that you think is wrong, you need to make sure you give my department a call. Elena Archer is here today. She'll be out there at the table. Make sure you talk to her. If I'm here, grab me. Make sure I know if you have a situation where you think something's been done wrong in the mortgage process. Got a few things I want to go over because they asked me to talk specifically about the difference between prime and subprime. If you have a credit score of 680 or above, and in some cases 650 and above, you deserved a prime loan. If you have a credit score of below 620, you get what's called a subprime loan or an Alt-A loan, which is an alternative loan. So, if a mortgage company puts you in a subprime product, which really means a higher rate of interest, more points or fees were attached, it should only be because your credit score was below 620. If it was above 620, make sure you give me a call. They asked me to talk about some of the pitfalls that take place in the subprime industry. The first thing is, if a product sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. When you see those 1.75% interest rates out there, that is called negative amortization. You're not making a full payment when you make that payment, which means that interest is being tacked on to the principal. And at some point, you're going to have to pay more than you ever expected. And that point usually comes 6 months to 2 years after you signed up for that loan. The loan will reset, and it will reset at a much higher rate, anywhere from 2 to 5% higher. And that reset will happen every 6 months to 2 years. So we need to see those types of products and to be able to help you understand exactly what you have. If it resets 5% over a 6 to 2 year period, it's going to be very difficult to afford that after the second reset. Because if you go from 1.75 to 6.75, maybe you can handle that. But when it goes to 11.75, then it starts to get high. And now your payment almost doubled on you. And it becomes trouble. And if it resets again, then your payment is beyond what you can afford, and you find yourself in financial stress. We need to know if those products are out there. We need to know that they exist. We need to be able to talk to those mortgage companies and try to see if we can get you a modification into a fixed rate loan at a reasonable rate. What also happens if you don't call right away, it will impact your credit and make it more difficult to get a modification or a loan restructuring. So the earlier you call, the earlier you start taking charge of your lives financially, the better off we all are. Because we're all in this together. If one of you is hurting out there, it's going to affect the community greatly and at large. And that's going to affect all of us. All of us throughout New Jersey will be affected because it does have a ripple effect through the whole economy. So I implore you to make sure that if you do have one of those products, see me. Make sure you get in touch with my department. We'll try to see if we can get a modification done. I can tell you that this is about the 20th community forum that I've been at. And I can tell you that at each one of the forums, I get a number of calls afterwards from people, and I am still calling people back, helping people get through. And I had a lady that I worked with for about 3 weeks before we were able to get her modification. But the sheriff was coming out to our house 2 weeks ago. The sheriff didn't come out, we got a remod, and she's still living in our house. Those kind of things can still be done, but we need you to take the bull by the horns, take your life and your financial situation under control, and start the right steps. If there were no doc in your mortgage, not a good thing. If there was no verification of your income, you really want there to be, because that's the only way someone can determine what you can afford, is if they verify your income. If it's a stated income product, meaning that you just said, you just stated whatever you thought you make, or if they just took down a number and said, say you make this much, you need to let us know. Because if it's stated income, if it's not verified, if it's a no doc, there's no way to know whether or not you could actually afford that mortgage when you got it. And we need to work with the industry to make sure they're giving you fair products, products that you can afford. And I've been in touch with the industry since this happened, since late 2006. I have been in touch with the industry, and the industry is willing to work with you. But you have to take some steps to make sure you're making those phone calls to let the industry know you have issues. I was also asked to talk a little bit about forbearance, deed in lieu of foreclosure, short sales, loan modifications, and loan restructuring. If you're going through a foreclosure process right now, and you truly believe that you have some of the resources needed to stay in your home, we can actually work to try and get the forbearance lifted and get you a modification or a restructure. If you know that you have the resources available to you to at least make some of the most of the payment that you have. Because we will be able to work with the mortgage companies to help them to understand what you can afford.